Hi, I'm Joan Fitzgerald from comScore. I'm the Vice President of Television Sales and Business Development, and I primarily work on our cross-platform measurement initiatives. So comScore is the leader in measuring the digital space, and that means the internet, that means mobile devices, that means television. And so my responsibility is pulling all of those pieces together so that we can report on multi-screen consumer usage behaviors, whether they're accessing content through a tablet, whether they're accessing it through their cell phone, on TV, or on the internet. You know, our clients increasingly need to put this all together and understand consumers with greater insights into how they adapt to new media.
So let's look at those insights, and let's maybe step back 2 years, 3 years or so, and discuss sort of how you've been seeing things evolve over the past couple of years.
Yeah, if we step back a few years, we see some really dramatic changes in consumer behaviors, whether it's on the internet, whether it's mobile, whether it's cross-platform. From the internet perspective, really there are two kind of megatrends that are going on. One is e-commerce continues to grow. So even from 2009 to 2010, we have a 9% growth in e-commerce to about $28 billion being spent online. So, you know, e-commerce very quickly recovered from the recession and continues to play a major role in how consumers, they're changing purchasing behaviors. The other major trend is social networking. You know, social networking has driven so much growth in the internet, where now 1 in 3 display ad impressions is through social networking. So that is a bigger and bigger part of a consumer's experience online. As part of that, you know, you have Groupon, sites like Groupon and Living Social, which are also playing a new role in consumers' lives. So where previously a consumer had gone to maybe more traditional media to find out what's on sale and what there is the opportunity to buy, you know, now they have a new avenue to discover what's on sale and how much they can save and things like that. So Groupon and Living Social have had increases in usage in the hundreds of percentage points compared to last year. And now Facebook takes up 1 in 8 minutes spent online. So these are very significant megatrends in the internet space. In the mobile space, you really see the same type of things where mobile usage, mobile internet usage, and mobile app usage is just increasing as consumers adopt smartphones. So we are anticipating that if we're not already at a 50% adoption rate for smartphones, we're very close. You know, it used to be that consumers primarily used what we would call feature phones. But now they've really adapted to this higher end mobile technology, which means that accessing the internet is just that much easier. Using applications is that much more fun. So that's been a big growth driver. And then from a multi-screen consumer perspective, you know, we continue to see consumers adapting new devices into their media experience. So I was recently exposed to some technology which we've all heard about in the press, where consumers can synchronize their television viewing with their tablets to have an enriched TV viewing experience. You know, most of the device manufacturers have connections built into the computer so that you can more automatically discover new programs and use different program guides. So the landscape of media behaviors, or the opportunity for the consumers to experience the media they want to, has just, you know, changed enormously over time.
Two-part question. What effects does this have on, say, legacy media and legacy brands in terms of their opportunities, but also the disruption that they might have from the startups? You mentioned Living Social and Groupon, which are, you know, exploding in their growth, and I imagine that's very disruptive to the legacy brands. And right. So what's the dance that you see going on, and you know, so how can legacy companies take advantage of it, and what can startups do to leapfrog them? Oh yeah, well you definitely see what you'd consider legacy media taking advantage of these technologies. I mean, there's no, this industry is not moribund.
when it comes to new technologies and recognizing what consumers are doing and what changes they're making. So especially in the where you have the digital space, cable networks, broadcast television networks, whether it's the MSOs and the telcos, they all acknowledge the changes that consumers are making in their lives, and they're responding. So, for example, you see online video, premium programming being made available online, and you see just an explosive growth in consumers who are choosing to consume their programming online. You've got focus on authenticating, so that a consumer has a subscription to a cable service or a telco service or a satellite service, and this enables them to consume content wherever they want to consume it. So these changes are being rapidly incorporated into the business models, so that by legacy traditional media companies, and I think that's important, and I think that's what makes this conference so important, is that it's really talking about measurement solutions that go along with the changes in consumer behavior. And the reason we're here is because our clients are here, and our clients are demanding new measurement solutions in order to help them make those changes and keep their business model up to date, and to continue to deliver relevant content to consumers, and serve the consumers and serve their advertisers at the same time.
What type of measurement are your clients asking for that is different now than it might have been a couple of years ago? Mm-hmm. And kind of where do they want to be able to drill into, and is it feasible to do that right now?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of demand for cross-platform measurement, because it's important to understand which consumers are choosing to consume the content in sort of a platform agnostic way, and to really focus on those consumers to make sure, consumers aren't one big mass audience. They haven't been for a long time. And if we look at the consumers in the aggregate, we're missing out on the opportunity to super serve, groups of consumers who have different behaviors and different attitudes. And one of the things that comScore is doing is creating a single source internet, mobile, and television research panel. And this means that by single source, we're capturing the media usage information from the same consumers, which enables you to isolate different groups of consumers and really understand what they want, versus taking sort of a more aggregated average approach. So I think we can deliver on the promise of cross-platform measurement, very quickly. Some of the things that are more challenging to deliver are, things on the horizon like addressable advertising. Addressable advertising is an opportunity for consumers, and it's also an opportunity for advertisers, because you have an opportunity to reach consumers with the messages that are more relevant to them, improving the impact of the message. That's harder to measure than perhaps today's technologies are not quite ready. But I think when you look at a company like comScore, one of the reasons I joined the company is because we take these kinds of measurement issues very seriously, and we invent the technologies that are required to deal with the new multi-screen future. Addressable advertising is where you are customizing the message to the particular household or groups of households. So if you are a household, for example, if you have a pet, you will be likely to be more receptive to commercials about pet food than if you don't have a pet. So it's really all about delivering relevant advertising messages.
And then macro trends in cross-platform consumer behavior that you're seeing, and what you think brands and advertisers should be paying attention to with those trends?
From a marketer's point of view, they have to deliver messages that are relevant to changing consumer lifestyles. And I don't think that was such an important objective maybe 10 or 20 years ago. You could kind of develop your creative message in a vacuum, deliver it via a television or a radio or a newspaper medium, and your advertisement was likely to be successful and impactful. But because consumers' lifestyles are changing, what's happening now is consumers are able to make choices about whether they consume your commercial or not. And so you have to pay more attention to the environment in which the consumers are interacting with your content. You have to make sure that the message is enjoyable, that it's relevant, that it's impactful. You know, there's just a lot. I think there are just more dimensions now when you look at marketers and what they have to think about when they are interacting with consumers. And as programmers, we're facing the same kind of challenges because programming needs to be relevant to consumers so that we hear the term engagement. You know, engagement is important because that's one of the factors that causes consumers to go with the program through the advertising breaks. So with all this commercial skipping technology available to us today, you know, it's more important than ever that we really create that interaction with consumers so that they really carry through in the programming and the advertising. So at a very macro level, I think that's what we're dealing with. We really need to make sure that, you know, what we do, you know, entices the consumer to pay attention to us.
And then we'll wrap it up with some online video. You know, I think online video is, you know, it's on your laptop or desktop, but now it's also on tablets and increasingly on our smartphones. Mm-hmm. So what are the trends that you're seeing there?
Yeah, the trends in usage are just kind of up. I mean, what's happened is that as more premium programming, as more full-length programming is available online, you know, consumers are taking advantage of this. And they are, you know, enjoying the experience of using their computer to watch television or using their television. You know, we've called it in some of our research the best available screen. You know, and I know other programmers, you know, some of the leading companies out there like ESPN have, you know, they've really been pushing that concept, and they're right. You know, consumers will, when we talk about why consumers use online video, this is kind of interesting. One of the things that's emerged is that really convenience has been much more of a driver in online video usage than any notion of skipping commercials. It's really been about convenience and availability of programming and the ability to watch programming, you know, if they want to watch multiple episodes at a time, having the flexibility to do that. And now that we have mobile coming in as an additional platform to consume premium programming, you're seeing new sort of value emerge, where I can consume the programming wherever I am. You know, I'm traveling, and I want to still watch my favorite program. So what you're seeing is that, you know, the sort of list of things that consumers want out of video is now expanding now that these new platforms are available. So, you know, we do think that online video consumption is going to continue to grow. You know, consumers are going to be, we as an industry, I'm proud to say, are enabling consumers to be platform agnostic. And it's very exciting. It makes for a very dynamic media future for all of us. The question is, do we see the opportunity to increase the amount of advertising available online relative to, there's kind of a minimal amount of advertising associated with many programs. I think that's changing. One of the studies that we did showed that, now this was a couple of years ago, where, you know, really there was zero advertising associated with most online video programming, or very minimal amounts, you know, a 5 to 10 second spot, you know, ahead of the video execution. And we asked consumers, you know, what would be too much advertising? What would be just the right amount of advertising? Those kinds of questions, like your Goldilocks, you know, what's too hot, what's too cold? So we asked them, and they reported that the ideal amount of advertising was 7 to 8 minutes within an hour, which was many, many times more than they were actually experiencing. And you do see other companies coming up with this same kind of conclusion, like Turner Broadcasting. Stacy Schulman did an excellent presentation at this conference about the impact of increased ad loads on viewership. And what she found was that, you know, they were able to increase the ad loads to map to a television ad load schedule, and really the viewing consumption just didn't change very much. So that just goes to my point exactly, is that consumers are looking for value in consuming online or on their mobile phone, and it's not necessarily skipping advertisements.
And are the ads do they have an equivalent effectiveness as, say, a television ad, or an increased effectiveness? And what I'm thinking about here is that on a television, when it cuts to ads, I know I have somewhere between 30 and 90 seconds, and it's like, okay, that's the time to go into the kitchen and pour myself a drink or something like that, where I feel when I'm in front of my computer, I know it's about 15 seconds. So maybe I'll sit there and watch it. So has there been measurement in terms of the effectiveness?
We do a lot of measurement on the effectiveness of online advertising, and we find that it's very effective on multiple dimensions. When marketers' KPIs range from upper funnel awareness to lower funnel purchase and going up the food chain, kind of purchase intent and persuasiveness of the ad. And you definitely find that online advertising associated with video has a high impact. And in fact, usually those ads command a higher CPM because of a few different factors. One, they are very impactful. Two, there tends to be still less clutter online. And what was my third? Oh yes, the third is because technologically, consumers really aren't able to skip the ads right now, and so you don't have the same channel, commercial skipping phenomena. I don't have any metrics on the comparability of these online ads versus television. I mean, television ads are very impactful, and that's why we use a lot of television. But online video ads have a really high impact.